The Code of Conduct aims for equitable and sustainable use for food security and for the conservation of aquatic and marine, in this case, marine resources. It consists of lots of articles, most of which tell you what they're going to tell you, and then they tell you it, and then at the end, they tell you what they told you. Right? So, like lots of legislation, it reads like that. But the key part for our purposes is Article 7, which is the fisheries management part. There are other important parts too, but fisheries management is the key part for fisheries scientists to look at. And as a fisheries scientist, I actually have had a very pleasant sabbatical working with the UN in Rome. And I talked to lots of colleagues who would visit there, and they were all agreed that of the something like 110 detailed clauses, that there was almost nothing missing there that you would want to see in the way that fisheries should be managed, even in respect of other activities, such as Norberto's activities in the sea, which are not usually fishing, usually with people of various kinds, and the whales, and all of that stuff is actually in there in the Code for Responsible Activities, which is really very neat. Oh, one problem is that within the Code, it says that the United Nations should monitor the compliance with the Code. Here we are, something like 15 years later, and you have to say, how have they monitored the compliance with this wonderful code? Well, you ask the nations, how are you doing? We looked, after 15 years of the code's existence, we looked in considerable detail at the compliance with all the little details of the code. And I'll show you some really boring slides now. This shows how we took the 8 sets of clauses and segued them into 6 evaluation fields, each of which had 10 evaluation scores. And uncertainty and Monte Carlo, if you really want to know, we used a multi-dimensional scaling, which is like a really high power. Somebody in the audience will know what it is. And where, I know what you're saying. Where is Portugal, right? Okay. There is Portugal. It's not bad, but it's not really as good as it could be. It's in the yellow area, which means it's not in the red, which is good. As you can imagine, nearly everything is red, except for one little marine protected area run by a very brave man in Myanmar. So that's great. At the top, we see countries like Norway, USA, Canada, Australia, Iceland, and actually Namibia, which is quite interesting, at the top end. And Portugal, I know, where is Portugal? Okay. I think I've got an arrow. There's the arrow. I hope you can see it. Yes, there's Portugal, which, as you can see, does quite a bit better than Spain. Probably nice for you to know. But, well, you know, we would hope to see more green boxes than... There are some, but there's also some red ones. So Portugal could do a little bit better.